No, all right. I know that sounds bad.
Well, haha. Hey guys. It's been a while. 2 years a while. And I know that that last video was me saying I was coming back. And now here I am 2 years later. Coming back. But there isn't a really long or even good, I guess you could say, explanation. I'll get into it at the end of the video. But short story. This has just kind of been just something I'm doing for fun, just to keep myself occupied, because I don't really have much to do right now. And I thought making a YouTube video would be fun. And hey, if this video does particularly well, I maybe will consider making another one. If this video, I'm gonna say 150 likes, I guess. To me right now, that's a pretty good number to say, hey, there's at least a decent amount of people who are interested. So yeah, if we can get like 150 likes, hey, maybe I'll consider making another video. Who knows? Anyways, on to today's topic. So I'm surprised this isn't like a bigger thing. Basically, recently this guy named Jack Teixeira, this guy from Massachusetts, he got arrested for leaking extremely classified, and we're talking like extremely classified information about the US. We know that the US, like as a Canadian, right? I don't really have the best knowledge or perspective on US problems. I mean, my government isn't much better, but you know, it's at the very least they're tech savvy. I mean, you don't really hear about Canada being in some sort of leakage, you know, or some sort of like WikiLeaks scenario very often. And the TikTok court case recently showed that the US don't really know their heads from their fucking asses when it comes to technology, right? They have no clue. And this is another example of that, and it's so funny how recent this is. On April 13th, Jack Teixeira was taken into custody. This is a quote from the New York Times. I'm going to be quoting mostly from the New York Times and Polygon. I feel like those out of the articles, those ones I think explain the best, but this is directly from New York Times. The FBI arrested a 21-year-old member of the Massachusetts Air National Guard on Thursday in connection with the leak of dozens of highly classified documents containing an array of national security secrets, including the breadth of surveillance the United States is able to conduct in Russia. So essentially, this guy, for shits and giggles, started leaking extremely classified information onto Discord. And the main thing that he was doing this for was it wasn't even for clout or some sort of political agenda. It was because he wanted to basically keep his friends informed, which is just crazy to me, because I feel like how you can keep your friends informed in thousands of different ways, especially because he was a junior air pilot. I don't know, not pilot, but part of the Air Force. You don't need to share that. And I think what makes the best part of this is that the main server he was sharing us all to was a server called Thug Shaker Central. Of all fucking names you could possibly choose to have a Discord server that shares such important information, which just Thug Shaker Central really just adds to it. So the leaking had been occurring for a few months at the point where he was caught. A few months being 4 months, because this guy has been like literally leaking shit since December. The thing is, despite his low rank, he still had access to like information that was way above his clearance level. And the reason was because, again, him being tech savvy, or he had the knowledge of technology because he was part of the cybersecurity of his platoon. He knew how to access a lot of these like more private encrypted information, and it's encrypted in quotations because of how they sent emails. I didn't fully understand it myself. So what the New York Times said here was the arrest raised questions about why such a junior enlisted airman had access to such an array of potentially damaging secrets, why adequate safeguards had not been put in place earlier, or had not been put in place after earlier leaks. This guy exploited the fact that despite WikiLeaks and all these other leaks that has happened in the US government, there were still barely any safeguards to protect. And it's just crazy to me, right? Like, the US being such a powerhouse and such an important figure in national security, just so happens to have all of its information on display for just anyone to see. And obviously it's not that simple, but I mean, let's be honest, anyone who knows, and I don't mean like just general knowledge, like I think I have general knowledge of computers, but someone who's knowledgeable in cybersecurity and knows how to decrypt and access this information, which I feel like to them would not be hard at all. So again, to go on to quote again the New York Times, it's kind of a long one. Airman Teixeira was trained as a cyber transport system specialist, a job that could entail a variety of duties, such as keeping his unit's communications network running. He was assigned to the 102nd Intelligence Wing at Otis Air National Guard Base, part of Joint Base Cape Cod. According to an Air Force spokeswoman, the 102nd Intelligence of Wing's official Facebook page congratulated Airman Teixeira and colleagues on the promotion to Airman First Class in July. Officials would not answer questions about what... This is kind of like a skip ahead. Officials would not answer questions about what in Airman Teixeira's duties would necessitate his having access to daily slides about the Ukraine war, much less the deluge of intelligence reports from the CIA and the National Security Agency and the Office of Direction or the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. There are units at the base that process intelligence collected from drones and U-2 spy planes, though it is doubtful that work alone would require this sort of access to the broad array of classified information that has been leaked to the Discord server. Again, like, it's just the idea that this guy gets a hand, because a lot of this stuff he couldn't just keep on find on a hard drive, so what he would do is he would just take the physical copy or like a scan and then just take it home and take a picture of it on his countertop. And we'll get to this later, but that kind of is how they caught him, and it's so funny. I think it's really funny. The Times has detailed breakdowns of the contents of the documents, of which there are at least 100. One document, the paper said, includes different scenarios that could impact the Russian war in Ukraine. And this is where it gets kind of crazy. The type of shit he leaked could cause alliances with the US to fade. Like, that's how serious some of this shit is. Continuing, including predictions about what would occur if either Russian President Vladimir Putin or Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky died. The Times reported that the leak is seemingly a confirmation that the U.S. spies on allies and adversaries alike, which may impact the country's relationship with its allies. Other documents discuss South Korea's apparent fear that the U.S. could divert South Korean arms to Kiev, explore scenarios that could lead Israel to provide weapons to Ukraine, and suggests Israel's Foreign Intelligence Service may have encouraged the agency staff and Israeli citizens to participate in anti-government protests that roiled the country in March. Yeah, he was sharing some really big shit, and again, the consequences of this we'll still see later on. This is barely a week old, I think, as of, I don't know exactly when I'm going to be uploading this video, but right now it's Tuesday, so this happened last Thursday. It's been at least 4 or 5 days. So the consequences of this, we're still going to have to see, right? Several documents later were doctored to change information regarding the war in Ukraine, specifically to inflate casualties in Ukraine and to lower them for Russia. According to the Times, the Pentagon hasn't outright verified that they are authentic, but that some contain sensitive and highly classified material. The Pentagon is still working through the documents, National Security spokesperson John Kirby. Despite his knowledge of computers, his espionage skills were clearly lacking because this guy shared this information all over the place. Not just a Thugshaker Central server, but also a Minecraft Earth server. Essentially, at some point, somebody saved the information and started sharing on social media, and only a month after did the US discover it. So, to quote Polygon here, a teenager in the group leaked them on a separate Discord server of a YouTube creator called WowMao. Tens of these documents were also published on the Minecraft Earth Map server, where they were spread to thousands of its members, and a month later were discovered by the US government through social media. I believe it was through Twitter that they discovered it, and then as such they were like trying to take down the posts and be like, oh, you know, please don't do that. Please don't out us like that. Please don't post fucking secret classified information, because it's illegal. They couldn't really stop the entire internet from uploading classified information. I mean, come on, something as juicy as that, like you can't miss out, you know. But after a bit, they finally caught an idea of the name, which was some dude named OG, or at least that was Jack's Discord name, and his Steam profile. And the thing is, the Steam profile, it's so trivial. Like, why would his Steam profile lead to this guy's fucking arrest? So again, off of Polygon, we don't know yet how the government found Teixeira, but the Times detailed the trail of digital evidence that linked the airman to the leaked documents. Many of the leaked documents were photographs of printed paper, and those who often showed details in backgrounds. The Times were able to find a Steam profile linked to Teixeira's name. From there, it found an Instagram profile with photos of Teixeira's childhood home. The countertops shown in the photographs matched the countertops the leaked documents were photographed on. This is where I think I personally would never figure this shit out, and I think most people wouldn't, but it's like the most like Scooby-Doo ass putting shit together that like is just insane to me. It's impressive, it really is, and again, it's the US military, you know, it's top of their job. I don't know, I just think it's so interesting how they're able to, you know, piece together all these parts and then be like, hey, this guy did it, and this is why. Anyways, he was basically arrested after that, like not very shortly thereafter, and there was like a whole raid on his house. I'll see if I can put up a picture. He was like wearing shorts and shit when they pulled him out, and yeah, no, right now I think he's under trial right now. So after all these shenanigans, what's next? Well, at the moment, he was charged in Boston on Friday with 2 counts in violation of the Espionage Act, the unauthorized retention and transmission of national defense information, and the unauthorized removal and retention of classified documents. At the moment, Teixeira could receive up to 15 years in prison. Dude, this guy is 21. He just ruined his life, just straight up. And the thing is that it's the government. So, most likely, they're gonna fuck him up. I mean, obviously, that's just conspiracy, but this guy definitely is not gonna get off easy. Even after these 15 years, like, it's gonna be worse. It's gonna get worse. And it's just sad to see, really, because it's just out of pure stupidity and just trying to flex on teenagers, basically. Like, let's be real here. I mean, like, he doesn't do any political ideology. And his whole mentality of, I'm gonna keep my friends educated, so that's why. But regardless, spamming them to multiple servers, I doubt that he cared about every single person on the servers he kept sharing them to. So it was 100% for clout. And I mean, can you blame him? Because imagine the fucking clout you get from sharing this shit. And if we remember, like, earlier, not that long ago, I don't think it was that long ago, players in War Thunder were sharing private information for the sole reason of winning arguments on specific plane models that were currently in the US as, like, division or something. And it's just, it's crazy to me, the lengths that people go simply to just win arguments and just gain clout. Hey, you know, gotta respect the grind, if anything. And for the leaks, the next day, last Friday, right, Mr. Austin began convening department-wide meetings to address the growing disclosures. Pentagon and other U.S. officials began contacting congressional leaders and allies to alert them to the leaks, which have ignited political firestorms in some countries. Well, and then this is a quote from Mr. Austin. Well, they were somewhere in the web, and where exactly and who had access at that point we don't know. We simply don't know. And again, this is just, we're going to have to see the consequences of this unfold as time goes on. I'm hoping it's not too bad because this could get really ugly. But yeah, I think that concludes our story. I mean, there isn't really much to go off of at this point. This is a very, very new story that's going on. All of this happened within the last week, so a lot of the information is still kind of scarce. But yeah, just only time will tell at this point. We just gotta fingers crossed and hope no one else is gonna leak shit on Discord. And Discord even got in shit for this too, which is really funny. But that's a whole other thing. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that commentary. I mean, it wasn't too much. Again, I just kind of thought it was interesting to share that out there. But now I think for the part that is the most, I guess, important here, if anything, why I was gone for 2 years. And honestly, there isn't really like a huge reason. It's not like something super serious happened. So I was originally supposed to go to university, but long story short, I ended up not, and I'm taking a gap year right now. And so on top of when that video came out, I was still finishing high school. For the past like 7-8 months, I've been kind of just nonstop working, and I've also been going to the gym. So my life just has been essentially just that. But on top of that, my mental health declined really badly. End of last year. I'm okay now, thankfully. I'm way better than I was before, but I was definitely not in a good place for a long time, and I don't think I was going to be making any YouTube videos when I was like that, right? And yeah, no, my life's just right now consisted of just that, just gym and work. That's all I really do nowadays, right? So I wanted to make, I don't know, like a YouTube video right now because I think it would be, I was kind of thinking to myself, like, it's kind of fun, you know, I watch people like Optimus all the time, and I think his videos are really interesting. I think commentary in general is really interesting because if it's done right, it's some of the more personalized content, right? You're not really appealing to humor. It's just you giving your genuine thoughts on things. It's like a podcast, but it's not live, if that makes sense. And I think that's interesting. But I don't think, like I said in the beginning of the video, I don't think I'm coming back. This isn't a coming back video like the last one. I mean, I don't want to disappoint again, right? But it's up for consideration depending on how well this video does. Because content creation is not something I'm opposed to. I've had fun with it in the past, and it's something I've always wanted to dabble in. Genuinely dabble in. Because I think, in general, I've always been the type of guy that I love entertaining people. I don't know if it's like the people pleaser in me or whatever it is, but I do like entertaining people, and content creation is entertaining people, and just the idea of being known is really nice. But it's not just for being known, it's also just because creating videos in general is kind of fun, and it's mostly the editing part that's really fun to me. I really like putting together clips and, you know, making jokes, or even just editing the clips to make it look really cool. Like, it's something that is interesting to me, and I even took a media arts course. Like, it's something that I would definitely be down to improve on as time goes on. But again, if it's a worthwhile skill, I don't know. Like, it'll definitely depend on success of this video, like, for me to keep doing it. But then again, you know, nothing's set in stone, I suppose. But yeah, I think that's kind of all I have to say for today. I really appreciate you guys watching this video again. I hope my commentary wasn't too like in your face, I guess, if that makes sense. It's a little too boring. I mean, again, there's not a lot to share off the situation, but you know, again, as time goes on, hey, maybe I'll make a part 2 if it's like South Korea and the US are going into war. But I think that's going to be everything for today. I really appreciate you guys watching it. I'll put up my Twitter and Instagram here if you guys want to go check you out or check me out. You know, I occasionally just post memes or like tweet horrible fucking deranged shit on Twitter. So I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys later.